Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, people? It is, let me fix this. Yeah, it's my first solo. Alright, today it should be pretty good. We're gonna talk about the anime Kurozuka. Alright, guys, welcome back. Um, like I said, this week we're gonna talk about the anime Kurozuka. Um, Also, welcome to episode 47. Yeah, three away from the big one. Right, so Kurozuka. Um, I do know how Sean runs his solos. Forgive me, this is my first solo, so I don't want to copy the way Sean does it. I want to try my own style. So rather than talking about the whole thing and then getting through the ratings like we do in the discussions, we're gonna break it down and rate them as we're gonna break them down into the categories, talk about the categories for a little bit, and then rate them right there, right then. So to start off, we're gonna start with intro music. Um, this intro was pretty fire. But I will admit, you have to be a metalhead in order to like this intro. Like it was really really good for me. I know Sean likes it as well, but like I said, you gotta be a metalhead. And Madhouse seems to be a bunch of guys who like metal as well. Um, but the intro, introduction, the opening. Yeah, let me call it opening. The music was great. And my only gripe about it is that I like when openings have a life of their own, so that they kind of tell their own story within the story. I don't like when they use key moments in the anime series to build the opening for the build the opening scene or the opening introduction for the anime. I know we harp on it a lot, but who's good for this? King's Game. King's Game opening was absolutely fire. It took on a life of its own. It had its own story to tell, introducing the characters, introducing, I kind of setting the tone for the animation as well. So I like when opening scenes do that. Not opening scenes, sorry, opening credits. Yeah, I like the best way to describe it in opening credits. I like when opening credits do that because it kind of sets you up for what kind of anime it is. A great example of a bad opening is, oh my gosh, Miruko Chan. So it's a fairly new anime that just came out about this little girl who can see ghosts, and it gives you the impression that it's a horror from the cover, but then when you watch the opening anime, you're like, was this kitty crap? And then when you get into the anime, it does have some elements of comedy, but it's actually really dark. Um, and it's not intense, but you do feel some tension. So that's an example of a bad opening credit scene that I don't like. I don't like when animes do that. You know, when and you're gonna get all stuff from a writer's perspective. For me, the anime opening is so important, not the scene. The opening credit is because it sets up the viewer for what to expect. And it could make or break you. So with Kurozuka, I think the opening credits was really, really great. Great music, had a life of its own, didn't really give away any of the key moments in the animation. And yeah, it was good. So rating for that, I give it 4 out of 5. Let's jump into the story. So the story of Kurozuka focuses on this guy called Kuro. Kuro wakes up. Actually, no. Kuro is being chased by these demonic looking things, humanoids, and he manages to escape with the help of a friend. However, he's injured, and because of that, the friend suggests that they stay at this house that they saw on top of a hill. When they get to this place, they meet this beautiful woman called Kuromitsu. When Kuro decides to stay with her, after a while they become romantically involved. But she denies him until one night his trained samurai senses alerts him of blood somewhere close by. He can smell it, so he follows this trail and finds a room that Kuromitsu had told him never enter into this room. But fearing that she was in trouble, he opens the door and sees Kuromitsu feeding on this dead body, drinking its blood. In right as soon as he sees that, before he can say anything, they're attacked, and he is stabbed and he's bleeding out. So Kuromitsu ends up saving him. We don't know how, they don't say. And she feeds him some of her blood because apparently she is an immortal. And one of the things about being immortal is that she needs to feed on blood. Doesn't have to be living, doesn't have to be dead. She can feed on any blood. So she shares his blood with him, and he starts to become immortal as well. However, his process is interrupted, and he ends up dying halfway through the transformation, but he still lives. Nevertheless, he defends Kuromitsu and kills off the rest of the enemies, but then somehow passes out. Fast forward, I think 2,000 years into the future, Kuro wakes up and he can't find Kuromitsu. And he travels into the city in order to find her, and realizes that the army that the organization that they were fighting against has now become the world leaders. And basically, the story is about him traversing through this land and joining up with the rebellion to fight this organization again, and at the end of it all, join back up with Kuromitsu, who is his love. So that's the summary for the story. My thoughts on the story is I haven't read the manga. I usually do when I feel like parts of the stories are missing, and that's what I felt about this anime. It felt very, very rushed. It was great. It's a great story, great premise, great plot, but it felt very, very rushed, and it felt very kind of like you weren't really able to connect to the story, so to speak, through a character, through the world. Like, people were being killed and, used as test subjects by the organization in order to try to replicate Kuromitsu's immortality. But that's about as much as you understood of it. They didn't really explain why a lot of the test subjects rejected her blood. They didn't really explain why, how the world got to be in that position and how the organization became the world leaders. Like, he woke up, they were the world leaders, and it was like, yeah, all right, that's just how it is. And oh gosh, there were a lot of backstories missing. Like, who were the people chasing Kuromitsu? I mean, Kuro, sorry. Actually, both. Who were the people chasing Kuro? And then who were the people chasing Kuromitsu? And it was clear that Kuro was a part of a organization as well, and he had a very high ranking. But they never told you what it was about, or who he was, or what he did. All we know is that he was a really great swordsman. So they never explained any of that. They never explained who Kuromitsu was, how long she's been alive, or how she was able to attain this immortality. They never went into that. And I kind of feel like those pieces of the story would what have really connected the story. But I was very, very surprised that for a 90s anime, let me see if I got that right. It was published in 2000 and the anime was developed in 2008. So yeah, a 2000s anime, especially by Madhouse, that it went for 12 episodes. Usually within that time period, Madhouse was doing like a lot of we all know Madhouse formula, one season and done. And Madhouse during that time was doing a lot of 24 episode kind of thing. I think that's how the first Death Note got started, with the first 24 episodes, stuff like that. So I was very surprised that they did 13 episodes. So that was interesting to me. But yeah, they didn't really explain any of those backstories and stuff. And again, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know if it is truth in manga or not. But I kind of felt like you didn't need a lot. You either needed it in dialogue or you needed it within the artwork. And I want to clarify this now before I jump into the animation bit, because you can tell a story through your artwork. Like, there were bits where they kind of showed the landscape of the city that he was walking into. You saw that it was in ruin, and then they kind of showed the the city itself and how people was in the city and things like that, in order to survive. But they didn't show like what was the catalyst of all this, how it really affected people. Because there was one section where they were saying, oh, there's people living in the woods, and I was like, wait, hang on, why? Like, why are they living in the woods? Like, that was just it. They just said there's people living in the woods, and they went off to the woods. And apparently the people in the woods are affected by the radiation of being outside, of being in the woods. So the woods seems to be having some kind of chemical atmosphere that allows them that if you stay in it too long, you get superpowers, but it kind of damages your body. And that wasn't explained. So then you find out that one of the key characters, which I'll talk about later, she was one of them. She was one of the woods people, and she had a power. And like there was too much stuff left out, in my opinion, that really could have solidified the story and really caused you to want to invest in the story. Because to me, the story was flat. That's the honest truth. The story was flat, and yeah, yeah, the story was flat. Like I two one 2 or 3 times I fell asleep because the dialogue wasn't going anywhere. The story wasn't really moving, and then there were a lot of stuff left unexplained. Like they were storming the castle, and he was, "What's that thing?" He was like, "What's that thing?" And she said, "Oh, it's a motorcycle." And he was like, and then they got attacked by a helicopter. So he was like, "Let me out. If we go to the two different directions, then we can, we have a higher probability of getting into the castle." So he jumps on this motorcycle, and the thing is, he didn't start the motorcycle within the van because they were on a moving bus. Sorry, not a van, bus. They were on a moving bus. He didn't start the motorcycle within the bus. He literally opens the door and pushes off and flies out into the road. Starts it mid falling and then starts riding. And from the dialogue before, his thing was like, it can't be that hard. It probably just like riding a horse. And to me, that was like, no matter how much of a comparison that is, you can't just pick up and ride a motorcycle like that. So there was a big disconnect there. If they had said like he used his vampiric powers, because he tends to slow down, or his mind tends to process information a lot faster, and he speeds up. If he had done that to operate the motorcycle just to start and then go, or if he had struggled a bit, with the motorcycle, then fine. But nah, it was literally like he got it and go with that. Another plausible explanation for him knowing how to use a motorcycle is that throughout the animation, you see that he has lived um, tons of different lives, and one of them was a army. I think he was fighting Nazis. So if they had said like, "Yo," during that time he had learned how, like, it was him accessing bits of pieces of memories from the past, then fine, but it didn't. He legit did not know how to ride a motorcycle, and to me, it's just so small little details that could make the difference between a viewer connecting with the anime or connecting with the story. That makes the difference. So for me, the story was flat, literally because the details matter. So my overall rating for story is 3 out of 5. Like I said, good premise, good plot, but details matter. All right. Next up, we got characters. Whew. This is gonna be a hard one. Okay, so Kuro, did not care about him. Kuromitsu, and the thing is, Kuro was the main character. Um, so yeah, I really didn't connect with him at all. Um, and there were bits of the story where like he really should have felt tension of waking up in a new world, a new place, not knowing where he is, trusting people and things like that. But he really didn't. Like, he was all cool, calm, and collected. Um, but yeah, anyway. Um, yeah, I didn't care much for Kuro. Kuromitsu, Kuromitsu, I was very interested in. However, she appeared in the first two episodes and then she was gone. It was like chasing Nessie. Like you see it once and no, you know it exists, but you gotta go and find it. You know what? It kind of had that feeling like Casherin Sins, how Casherin couldn't remember what he did, so he was chasing down the bits and pieces of his past to find out what he did and why he did it. So yeah, that's how it felt, and I really didn't connect with Kuro. Actually, I think we should do Casherin Sins next week. I'm gonna tell Sean that because that was an interesting story when I finally got around to it. But anyway, Kuromitsu, I really wanted to know more about her. I really wanted to know more about her immortality. And I really wanted to know more about her personality because she came across as a very innocent and loving woman to Kuro. But then all throughout the animation, she did a lot of things that were quote unquote evil. And I wanted to know what was her obsession with Kuro, because every time, like, the whole plot is he finds her, fall in love, then he passes out, and then he goes and looks for her all over again, and the cycle keeps repeating. But it also seems like she is causing the cycle because, and spoiler alert, from what so because his process was interrupted, his head doesn't die, but his body does. So when she severs the head from the body carries its own memories, but the head does not. So she's been trying to find like the perfect body for him, and she ends up working with the same organization and becomes the head of it in order to create Kuro, the perfect body. So I would have liked to know, well, why was she so obsessed over Kuro, so to speak? And it wasn't just love and stuff like that, because she met a lot of other people along the way, and there was even an inclination where that after she was saved by the woodlands people, that she ended up drinking their blood as well and killing them. But I digress. That was back in the story. So Kuromitsu, I would have liked to know more about her, but didn't. Benkei, rubbish. Karuta, nah, not important. Kuon was the android like guy who you find out in the end was supposed to be Kuro's body, created by Kuromitsu, Kuon was supposed to find the Kuon was supposed to find Kuro and bring Kuro to the organization in order to transfer the body and the head. However, yeah, Kuon was a quiet guy and all he did was fight and shoot and accuse people of stuff. And you really couldn't connect to his character. So when he kind of like went crazy at the end because he found out he was an android, you were like, oh, okay. That was it. So you didn't really connect with any of these characters. Haniwa was the next character who I said was from the Woodlands, and her body was damaged. Like her back looked like tree bark, but then it allowed her to have like this wind vacuum kind of power. But you don't know what the power is because she never really used it. All she did was like charge up, and then she was dead. And also, it was a you only find that out through the reenactment of the villain telling Kuro what happened. Like you don't actually see the fight. You just know she's dead. And that was it. Kuromitsu, not important. Rai was the girl who was, yeah, she got killed. Like a lot of these characters, if you honestly, if you took out a lot of the characters they use, the story would still go on because he'd still be looking for Kuromitsu. The organization would still attack him because they were looking for him, and all the altercations and stuff that he ended up going through, he still would have ended up going through and still would have ended up to that thing because each battle that he had with the organization led to him having to retrace the steps that Kuromitsu did within that timeline. So it was crazy. You didn't really connect with any of the characters at all. Uh, Tonba. Tonba was Tonba was the guy that saved Kuro in the beginning. That I mentioned to you, and it turns out that he was the person who betrayed Kuromitsu, all because he fell in love with her and he didn't want his master, which was Kuro, to have um Kuromitsu for himself. He wanted to marry Kuromitsu, and apparently when he killed Kuro, because he's the first person to sever Kuro's head, some of Kuro's blood went into his mouth without his knowing, and he became immortal. However, because it was, I guess you could call it half blood, he aged completely. But he would never die. So he was like 1,000 and something years old. I was like, okay, mm, that was it. Like you didn't really connect with any of them at all. So yeah, characters. I got gay. I got gay a one. I did not care about any of them, and to be honest, it could have been a one man show. Casher was a one man show for a while, and they did pretty good. I think I remember. And to me, like I could have taken out all these characters and left in just Kuro and Kuromitsu. Um, eh, yeah, Kuro and Kuromitsu and the organization people, the organization villains, and the story would still carry on. So a lot of the rebellion stuff was unnecessary. So characters, I didn't connect with any of them. I give them one. Oh yeah, I never remember another character that. So there was this guy in the turtle shell who was very good. Even though he was really strong, he was good at manipulating your mind to either kill people or kill yourself. And this started a backstory with him of how he was a test subject for the woman's blood, and he his body didn't reject the blood, and he went around the whole organization convincing people to kill themselves. No, but before he was turned, he was doing that, and it seems that he was a serial killer in the sense. So I would have liked to know a little bit more about him and why he was that way, and why, again, why was it that some people rejected the blood and some people didn't? Like, a lot of backstory was missing, man, and a lot of details. So again, I haven't watched the manga. Sorry about this. My eye hit playing up. Haven't read the manga. Oh boy. Sorry about that too. Haven't read the manga, so I don't know if stuff missing or not. But yeah, characters, I gotta get a 1 out of 5. Next up, we got animation. Animation, I'll keep this really short because I kind of rambled on with the characters and stuff. The character drawings was very, very realistic. It had that realistic style anime that you see with, oh gosh, I can't remember the anime. Techno Gears or Techno Hazy. I can't remember, but that kind of style. So it was very, very visually appealing. It, or is it Paranoid? No, it's not Paranoid Agent. Techno Hazy. I can never remember the name of that anime. Oh my god. Ergo Proxy. There you go. That's the easier one to remember. It had that animation feel. So that was pretty cool. The backgrounds were absolutely stunning. You really got a feel for how demolished the city was, and how much of a change the area was as opposed to, the feudal era in Japan, where it started out, where it was all forests and stuff like that. And now you got cities, and the cities kind of meshed into the forest, but the forest looked run down. The city looked run down, that kind of thing. Sorry, my eye playing up. And that was cool. That artwork was cool. It gave you a real feeling for the world. And then the animation was smooth, man. The animation was so smooth. And then when it came to the choreography with the fights and stuff like that, it was very, very good. I know I harped on the whole motorcycle thing before, but that was a detail for the story. But for the animation itself, it was very, very cool to see, and things like that. So, animation, I gotta get 5 out of 5. Before we even get into that, big, big, big happy birthday to my co-host and star and bro, Sean. Happy birthday, man. Love you. Hope you had a great day. Enjoy it. Um, okay, so I haven't really been watching a lot of anime. I've been working on some campaigns and stuff, some of the book trailers and stuff that I have been doing for people, for my clients and things like that. So that has been pretty cool. Also studying my excuse me, animation and film artwork. I'm getting better. I mean, 10,000 hours, right? So I'm getting better at it, and I'm really enjoying it. But I really want to start putting out my own short films and movies and books and things like that. So we're really trying to push forward with that and stuff. Outside of that, I started reading I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart. It's absolutely, absolutely a hilarious book, and also a very well educated book. Um, yeah, like a lot of wisdom in there that you could really learn from. So I was enjoying that, and it just finished book 9 of the Jack Reacher franchise, Echo Burning. I don't know what to think about it. Um, I love the way that Lee Chell has this way of telling a story where you could feel the tension um in the fights between Jack Reacher. So to be honest, this one was a lot of story build up. It was a lot. It wasn't even a lot of investigation. It wasn't even. It was just him caring for this woman, and building the story around the woman and things like that. But it did touch on a lot of the discrimination that goes on between um, people crossing the border in America and how American Border Patrol Police treats them and stuff like that. So even though it wasn't really centered primarily around Reacher, it it was a really good read. I enjoyed it. My wife enjoyed it, and yeah. Outside of that, like we said last week, watched Reacher. So really happy for Lee Chell. Congratulations on picking up another deal with Amazon to produce the Jack Reacher franchise on TV. Personally, I didn't have a problem with the movies. I thought Tom Cruise did a really good job. Even though he wasn't the height or the build for the character, he really brought out the personality and charisma and the machismo that Jack Reacher is. However, Lee Cho said he wanted to appease his fans, and he got it. Alan Richardson did a very, very great job in two ways. One, he embodied the mask that Reacher has, and two, he separated himself from Tom Cruise, and that was always going to be the biggest challenge. Like, can you make Jack Reacher your own and have to and not be compared to Tom Cruise? So you could watch both productions and enjoy both of them for two separate things. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And that was about it. That's all. That's it for me. Shoot the shit. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I know it's a little different. It's my first solo. So let me know what you think. Do you like my structure? Or maybe I can switch it up and do it the way that Sean is doing it and stuff like that. You let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, stay safe, love one another, be grateful to one another. Check us out on social media, and peace.